Hey everybody, welcome back to Rudo Radio. It's the weekly wrestling podcast from SB Nation and Cage Side Seats. I'm Bill Hanstock. With me as always is Mark Normandin. Hey Mark.
Hello Bill.
You sound so tired and sad.
I woke up early.
Oh good. That's good. It's nice to get an early start on the day. Especially when it's a day where they're announcing where WrestleMania is going to be and that they're opening a Hall of Fame restaurant and all sorts of good stuff.
I did not hear about the Hall of Fame restaurant.
Yeah. There's going to be a Hall of Fame restaurant. There's going to be Okay, so WrestleMania 33 is coming to Orlando next year. And it's the third WrestleMania in Florida since 2008. And I'm not mad about it, but they announced that they're going to be opening a physical Hall of Fame that is also a restaurant. And it's basically pretty much in the style of the World that they used to have in New York City. You remember the World, right?
Yeah, mostly because it kept cutting to it during like WrestleMania X7. I feel like that's...
Yes, that's where they sent Billy Gunn or whatever. Yeah, so there's going to be a physical Hall of Fame that also happens to be a restaurant. And I believe it's like a pop-up store sort of situation where it's not going to be like a permanent thing. It's just going to be there for the WrestleMania 33 build-up. The restaurant element would incorporate WWE merchandise in a retail area. Well, that's a shock, I gotta say.
WWE's going to try and sell merch.
And multiple screens will show wrestling action while visitors eat their WWE-themed meals. Hell yes. The WWE Hall of Fame / restaurant will be open by the time WrestleMania comes into Orlando for WrestleMania 33 next April. It's going to replace NBA City at Universal City Walk, which is adjacent to Universal Studios in Florida. And I guess it's going to stay open for as long as they can keep it open. It's not just going to be like a pop-up store, which is what I originally thought it would be. But, I mean, I certainly think that the restaurant and the Hall of Fame in Orlando, that makes a lot more sense than Times Square. Like, a lot more sense.
Yeah, I mean, they have a base of operations down there with developmental and all that, too, so...
Yeah, and not just that, but, like, Universal City Walk, that means, like, people will always be, like, walking by, and you have I feel like you have a much, much higher chance of someone, just like a family or just people randomly going to Orlando for Universal or for Disney World who, like, walk by a WWE Hall of Fame and restaurant and are like, oh, rather than like people who are in Times Square. You know, like you just have I feel like you just have a much higher chance of catching like the random hardcore wrestling fan foot traffic than in Times Square.
No, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So let's think of what WWE themed meals we could have.
I was really hoping that we would get to this.
Yes. Well, let's start brainstorming some, Mark. Nope. We're done. That's it. Bye, everybody.
I did not have anything off the top of my head.
Well, I mean, it's too bad you can't have like the Chris Hero, or even the Chris Hero. Did you know that that's how Chris Hero got his name?
No.
He was somewhere, like he was in his car or something, and he saw a sign for Euros, and he was like, oh, what if my name was Hero, and I spelled it with a Y like Euro? And so he was Chris Hero with a Y, but then everyone just kept calling him Chris Hiro, so he changed it to Hero.
And then Superman t-shirts were born.
Yes. Chris Hiro comes with his own pyro. It seems like this is something that I should be able to do like instantly because of how deep I am in the pun game. But I think maybe
I just assumed you had like a slew of them already prepared.
Well, I mean, Dean Ambrose, clearly.
Oh yeah, that's gotta be
or Dean Am roast.
Also good.
Yeah. I think I'd be more likely to eat the Dean Ambrose, certainly. Roman grains. You could have some nice oatmeal.
People have a similar reaction to him as they do to oatmeal right about now, so that's pretty good.
Oh, buddy. Come on, man, help me out here.
I just had something with baking an Undertaker, and it didn't fully bake.
Oh, all of your sandwiches can come with or without McMayonnaise?
I mean, there has to be some kind of burger referencing Shane O'Mac, except then they probably get sued.
Yeah, you can't do that. Well, you can do the Shane O'Mac and cheese.
Oh, there you go. Shane O'Mac and cheese.
Boom. Here comes the runny cheese.
All the supersize options have to have Ryback's visage all over them, screaming, "Feed me more."
Yes. You can have well, it's a big shake. It's a big bad shake tonight. Did you want chocolate or vanilla?
Which CrossFit superstar on the roster gets to have the burrito named after them?
Seth Rollins, obviously. Although it's hard to come up with a pun.
Yeah, I don't really have a pun for him, but he does feel, being CrossFit Jesus and all, like the one.
Oh, the Natty Melt?
Good. I like it. Do you have any classic ones?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, like junk food dog, you can't really do because no one wants to eat junk food. Can't do anything involving Hogan because that's too bad. You could have the Hulk Hoagie.
Oh man, Hogan, why'd you go and have to be a bad human being? Ruining sandwich opportunities everywhere with your racism.
If it's not infringing on Denny's, you could do the Big Boss Slam, where like you have a breakfast combination.
It's true. Denny's would probably just tweet about it instead of suing.
Yeah. Denny's is nice. I've worked with Denny's before. They have a good sense of humor about being Denny's and also about everything else.
I feel like you have to. I mean, I love Denny's. I won't go into one while the sun is up, but...
no, it's impossible.
Yeah.
The doors are locked. You can't get in.
I've left when the sun is up. But...
Yes. It's like Hotel California.
Better pancakes, though.
Yes. $1 million man. No, everything's just ham. Because too many people have ham in their name.
It's just going to be a whole lot. I mean,
yeah, it's just me sitting around doing like a Louis Anderson, like $1 million ham.
I mean, you need a lot of ham ones so you can do all the varieties of ham sandwiches.
Nacho Man, Randy Savage.
There you go. You would have to name some kind of salad after Daniel Bryan. Feels like the only way to do that.
Yes. The goat. You could do a goat cheese salad.
Ooh.
The grilled monsoon.
Oh, that's great. Is that a fish sandwich? A grilled fish sandwich?
Yeah, you could do that. Or chicken.
I feel like the monsoon needs to connect to some kind of
You can do
water.
the Captain Luau banana split.
I almost spit out a little bit of water I was drinking there, so
there
you know that one's a winner.
The double Patty Patterson.
Perfect. I would order one of those.
Oh, well, I mean, you just do Greg the Hamburger Valentine.
Oh, yes. Yes. So many things I want to eat at this restaurant that doesn't even exist yet. Well, now you'll have to go down, when you're there for WrestleMania 33, you will have to go to the restaurant and check over their entire menu and see how many of the things that we named are there.
Jesse the Body Ventuna. I'll get the Ventuna on the rye bread, please.
It's the only way you can order it, too.
Yeah.
You can't... You have to use that voice. It's like a secret. It's like not on the menu.
Yeah. Oh, the Jesse the Body Ventura, you order that because I ain't got time for beef. This stuff will make you This stuff will make you a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Just like me.
Oh, man.
Well, anyway, I guess some stuff happened in wrestling this week. We're getting ready for the Roadblock.
The Roadblock.
Which
it's just a name.
The Rock's going to come back.
It's just a name that some idiot in marketing came up with. Did you know that?
Yes. So good. So good. Hunter's great at just shade. He has like a lifetime of practice at it.
It's so great, and that whole segment just reminded me again. It's like, why is this not the main event of WrestleMania? Why?
No one knows.
And I mean, as we talked about last week, okay, some things could happen that we don't think will happen, that we know won't happen. Mm-hmm. And maybe it will kind of be the main event, but no, it's not going to be. At least we're getting it at Roadblock. At least it's that, and it's not just us all sitting here like talking about what we should be seeing. But still,
yeah. And Roadblock is going to happen this Saturday. There's already 3 matches confirmed. We have a pretty good idea that there might be a couple more matches added. Certainly, some will get set up on SmackDown, but for sure, the main event, Triple H versus Dean Ambrose, it's going to play with all of our emotions. The NXT Tag Team titles are going to be defended on a WWE main roster special. The Revival is going to defend against Enzo Amore and Scott Cassidy. Scott Cassidy? I was looking at Scott Dawson's name. I'm sorry. Call him Cassidy. Yeah, he's going to defend against Scott Cassidy. I don't know who he is, but it should be great.
That's just NXT name generator getting some play.
And Brock Lesnar will face Bray Wyatt. There was so much that happened. There was so much that happened on Raw, but let's just real quickly. Obviously Brock is going to beat Bray, right? That's pretty much.
Oh yeah,
we're getting that WWE. See, it's nice because we're going to get to see Brock versus Bray, just not at WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's like a weird, it's not going to get all the hype of Mania, and not as many people are going to watch it, but like we're getting some of the things we want, just not in the exact spot we want them.
Yeah.
And I think I have high hopes for Brock versus Bray.
It should be awesome.
Bray's going to lose, but I feel like he'll be more competitive in the match than people expect. It won't just be Lesnar straight up destroying a guy.
Right.
And it helps kind of create the appearance of Ambrose having a chance when you combine, his Ambrose-ness with the fact that Lesnar is susceptible if people know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. I do expect like all of the Wyatt family besides Bray to just get absolutely murdered during the match, though.
Right. Do you think that this is where Enzo and Cass finally win the tag titles?
I still feel like they're not going to. It feels more like prep for like, here's a sneak peek of these guys that you will get to know in a month. Okay. And everyone will get to see their cool entrance. Because, maybe there are people who are going to watch Roadblock but aren't watching NXT, aren't really familiar with Enzo and Cass. So it feels more like just like televised house show kind of stuff where you're prepping your audience for these guys showing up eventually. And then it'll be like, I know those guys. I saw them do the thing. They're doing the thing.
I think that there's a strong chance that they do win the titles here and then potentially drop them to Gable and Jordan at TakeOver, although probably a little early, but I think that there's a strong chance just because if they're not doing a rematch at TakeOver, which they may very well be doing a rematch at TakeOver, I don't know, but if they're not doing a rematch at TakeOver, I feel like this would be a nice one last, give them their last little moment of glory in NXT for 1 month before heading to the main roster. Because I feel like there's going to be a huge influx of NXT talent to the main roster after WrestleMania. Or maybe not huge, but significant.
Yeah, some of it's already starting, which we will get to, I guess, when we recap Raw. But, yeah, I can see them winning. I just feel like so many heels seem like they're going to win at TakeOver in Dallas. Or even if they're not heels, not necessarily like the people we're used to knowing and loving as champions. That having Gable and Jordan face off against the Revival in a situation where they can win as the faces makes sense to me. But you can go either way with it.
So before we talk about Triple H versus Dean Ambrose, let's go ahead and talk about what I thought was a really awesome Raw. Like, it had a lot of like recappy stuff in it, but it felt like everything that happened on Raw was pretty awesome. Like, with the exception of Ziggler versus League of Nations, maybe. But
I was just gonna say I forgot who he wrestled when you said Ziggler versus.
Right. That was I thought like that was the lowest point of the show, but like everything that happened was really good, and there were two phenomenal matches on this show, and it was I loved it. I thought Raw was great. Sami Zayn returned to weekly WWE television and went toe to toe with his forever rival Kevin Owens. It was amazing. I loved it. Like, there were rumors floating around that he was there and that he was coming up and he was ready to make his main roster move and all that, and that he's, booked for a match at WrestleMania, and, the likeliest opponent is Kevin Owens. But so there were very strong hints that he was going to appear at the show, but I mean, that didn't ruin it at all.
No, I mean, I didn't see the hints that he'd be at that specific show, but when Owens went to powerbomb Neville onto the apron, I turned and said something like, Neville defended Zayn when Kevin Owens was trying to do this at one point down in NXT. So it's like, so maybe Sammy'll show up, and before the thoughts even really finished. Like, hey, Sammy's music. Oh man, I just summoned Sami Zayn.
Yes. So good. Oh, Raw had 3 great matches, because that Owens versus Neville match was fantastic.
Yeah, man, I love watching those two wrestle. It's such a weird grouping, because Kevin Owens does things that you don't think, someone who looks like Kevin Owens can do, and Neville is so ridiculously strong for a guy who is his size. Mm-hmm. So it's this weird combination of two guys doing things you think are impossible for people who look the way they do. And it just creates some, just crazy moments for you to kind of throw your arms up and yell while you're watching wrestling.
And I'm not crazy, right? Like that what Kevin Owens kicked out of was a second rope flippy thing that resembled the Red Arrow, right? It wasn't off the top.
I thought that was a Phoenix Splash off the second.
Yeah, but it was off the second rope.
Yeah, it was second rope.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Red Arrow remains the most protected move.
Right. At first I was like, oh, he kicked out of the Red Arrow, because those two moves look really similar.
Yeah.
But because at first I was like, oh my god, he kicked out of the Red Arrow, and then I was like, oh wait, the replay, he's only on the second rope. Everything's still fine.
A thing I was commenting on with Neville while watching this was, like, remember when the shooting star press was just like it was a game ender, and it was so crazy. And you saw a few people do it, and now Neville's using it as like a move to the outside just for fun. Yes. To do just to do that little bit of extra damage from a higher height, and it's awesome that you do that. And things shouldn't stay static; everything evolves. It's just funny to think like, wow, 20 years ago, a shooting star press, like, you would have just straight up jumped out of your seat for like a standard sloppy one, but Neville's just out here like, oh, that's only like the 5th most impressive flip that I have. Well, also, I can do them standing.
The great thing is that it will still pop most people, because most people aren't jaded and watch like Beyond Wrestling and PWG all the time. Mm-hmm. Like that's the good thing, is that, and that's that's what's really smart about WWE, is they outlawed all these moves for so long that now that they're bringing them back, shit's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, when AJ Styles did a springboard 450, the crowd absolutely lost their minds. And that's in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, as you should.
Right.
Everyone should lose their minds for springboard 450. So yeah, don't mean to imply that I'm jaded about the shooting star press. It's just amazing that it's like, God, I love that move so much. And it's just a thing that Neville does.
Right.
And it's like testament to how impressive Neville is more than anything.
Yes, absolutely. So the second awesome match that happened was A2J versus New 2 Day And
oh wow!
I mean, absolutely the best New Day match of all time, and the best AJ's looked since coming over. The best Chris Jericho's looked since he came back. Just wow! What a tag team match.
Yeah, the only downside to that entire match is that like the 5 people who bought that terrible T-shirt are very disappointed. It probably hasn't even like been delivered to them yet.
You know what? Fuck them, because that shirt sucks, and everyone knows it.
That's what you get for buying that shirt,
right? But you'll always have the memories of that one glorious month, or 2 glorious weeks, I guess.
I was gonna say it wasn't even a month. They unveiled the shirt like last week.
When AJ did that springboard 450, that was a hell of a false finish. When Kofi got pulled out of the ring.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was confused just long enough. So good.
And like this match was pretty good evidence that like the WWE clear, like, as much as people have been complaining about it, like WWE clearly hasn't dropped the ball on AJ, or he, whatever perceived damage has been done to AJ since his debut has been negligible, because people are into this guy.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure what the damage is supposed to be. Like, yeah, he's not using the Styles Clash, but we did all watch him struggle to pick up Jericho like 3 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah.
Like, there are guys much, much bigger than Jericho that he has to use that on. So, even that made sense. It's not like disrespect to Styles or
right. And the calf killer is cool, and I mean it's definitely a newer move for him than the Styles Clash, and also like now that he's using that springboard forearm as a finish, like that's always been like my favorite move from him, because he looks like an absolute superhero when he does it. It's crazy.
There's no one else doing that either.
Yeah. He gets height. He gets that. I want someone to do like, I mean, they kind of did it with like the Styles Club, Bullet Club shirts, but like I want someone to do like an Air Jordan like shirt with him, like that silhouette of him like in the air.
Oh, nice.
I think that would be like just money,
Yeah, right.
Put it on some shirts. Sell those.
Yeah, if the shop is any indication, they will sell too. Because every time I've been looking lately for the deals, like the number 1 shirt on the store is AJ Styles shirt. So
nice.
They're they think they know what they have in him, and
yeah.
It's nice to see that they're not dropping the ball on this Jericho return either. Because the thing we've been complaining about is that Jericho should turn heel, because Jericho's at his best when he's just a dick, and the one you're supposed to root against, not root for, and. Turning heel on AJ and blaming him for, the Ron finish to an amazing match. Perfect. We'll probably get these guys at Mania, and that's fine. That's a showcase match, for the people who don't watch all year long. Like, even for the people who do, you get to see Styles and you get to see Jericho at, the character that he's best at.
We got Chris Jericho turned on AJ. He's the big bad heel now. Those shirts are worthless. Not that they weren't already.
Such a bad shirt. Just a bad shirt.
Like 100% is like the shirt that they would put like in Target like during the Attitude Era.
Yes.
Like not the like cool WWE store shirt, but like the shirt that just says like Steve Austin.
And it's just like it's perfect for like the time period Jericho's in, where he's so stuck in like 1999 too.
Yeah.
So you expect him to be wearing that shirt, but like he dragged AJ Styles into his terrible T-shirt orbit.
Yes.
And now he is free.
I anticipate that Jericho might wear the shirt sarcastically for a couple weeks.
That'll give it some life.
A little final bump there. But
speaking of Jericho, how confused do you think Jericho was on Monday when Shane McMahon was wearing both a vest and a shirt?
Very, very confused.
That must be why he was so grumpy. He was just already in a foul mood because he didn't understand what Shane was doing.
Yeah. By the way, if any of you think that wearing a non-sweater vest, like waistcoat, like without a jacket over it, like as a top is like fancy or stylish. It isn't. You shouldn't do that. Don't do that. Especially not with like jeans. Like, it's bad enough if you're like fully wearing dress clothes, but just come on, man. That's not what a waistcoat's for at all. If you're like cosplaying steampunk, maybe get a pass. But otherwise, you gotta lock that shit up. The main event, another fantastic match. Triple H, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt had a really great match. Ended with a Dean Ambrose beatdown, as we probably expected, but you had Triple H coming out to give Dean Ambrose what for, but before he did, you had a stare down with Bray Wyatt. So you've got like, oh man, all we want is to see Triple H and Dean Ambrose in a great feud. We want to see Dean Ambrose running for the title for real at WrestleMania. But then when Bray started looking at the belt and staring down Triple H, I'm like, oh, I want this too. And it's just like
Triple H doing everything.
It's like, oh, everything in this ring is something good, but none of that is probably what we're going to get at WrestleMania.
Not at Mania, but it does feel like it's time to switch direction with Bray, where like, yeah, he makes sense as a heel monster or whatever with his whole heel monster crew, but hey, it's not working, and you keep repeating the same cycle over and over, and we're bored of it. So I don't know, maybe put him in a position where he can win matches and win feuds as some kind of like anti-corporate, anti-hero or something. There's space for someone like that on the roster, and people want to cheer for Bray, or at least make noise for Bray.
Yeah, and that was just such a good moment where it's like Bray wasn't made to look like an ass. He wasn't like, he didn't have like his power removed from him. Like, it was a good thing where it's like in that moment, like you understood like Triple H might fear this guy. Triple H like probably views this guy as an equal to him. And so
he didn't just kick him in the dick like he did to Barrett a couple of years ago.
Yeah, he doesn't want any part of Bray Wyatt. But Bray Wyatt's also like biding his time and picking his spot,
Yeah.
Anyway,
wonder if that means we're gonna get Bray versus Roman.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Now I just want Bray versus Dean again, except with the belt on the line.
Well, remember what a great match Bray and Roman had in Hell in a Cell? That was awesome.
Oh yeah, I love seeing those two wrestle too, which is good because we saw it for like 3/4
forever.
2015.
Yeah. Do you think there's any chance? And I already know the answer. Do you think there's any chance that Dean Ambrose wins the belt, or that we get a non-finish and Dean Ambrose gets inserted into the WrestleMania main event?
I think there is, especially because then you can spend a couple weeks having Paul Heyman talk about how Brock Lesnar deserves to be in it.
Yes.
And then you get like street fight main event of Mania, which is the degree of ridiculousness you need so that Shane Undertaker does not like overshadow the main event.
Right. I don't think there's any chance. I think Triple H retains. Especially after Dean Ambrose like laid him out and got to pose with the belt. I don't think there's any chance, but I want to believe.
Yeah, that's where I am. Like the chance I see of it is, like less than 1%. It's like, hey, non-zero, but my faith has not been completely stripped away from me yet. So. Yep.
I mean, they've changed WrestleMania main events on shorter notice before, so.
Yeah, I mean, the story for last year was essentially like day of, right?
Yeah, essentially.
So they got time. Yeah, they can still tweak things.
Yeah. All I really remember from the Divas stuff last night is that Brie has shorts now, and she's clearly not used to them. She kept like fidgeting with them, but she has shorts now. Maybe Nikki tribute. I don't know.
Yeah, I was actually wondering that if she's wearing like Nikki's bottoms and Daniel Bryan's kick pads and like
and the Bray Mode shirt.
Yeah, it's just all possible things.
Do you remember anything else that happened with the Divas? I think that there was like a Charlotte beatdown, something like that. Like Charlotte beat somebody down.
Yeah, I mostly remember the backstage segment with Sasha and Becky, which was nice because they're still like friends, but not really friends, and they clearly respect each other. But you know, it's going to be a constant like competition between the two of them. Yeah, they beat Naomi and Tamina in a tag match, and it was fun. And Charlotte came down after. Lana used Brie's own finisher against her, which was interesting. I don't know what, she's like taking it from her as Brie, rides off into the sunset this summer or what, but.
Yeah. And I also noticed that, so Lana was back in her Ziggler all denim everything, but I noticed that now her skirt says Lana on it. Like, it says it in like hot pink lettering, like it's crap. What's that company that makes the like the bracelets and stuff? Lisa Frank. That's the name of that, right? Lisa Frank,
I think so. I mean, I'm not up on my not up on my colorful bracelets.
Anyway, just like basically, she just looked like a human trapper keeper. Is my point.
yeah, that fits.
So yeah, I don't know. She's got to still be with Rusev. They have the same theme.
Yeah, well, she has like the intro to Rusev's theme essentially, because she would come out and her music would happen, and then Rusev's music would happen. So she's got that still. So without the big drums that follow it up. But yeah, they still have like the combined themes, and they've just kept them mostly separate. Like she's never on screen with League of Nations,
right?
So it seems like they're doing a situation where it's like we are aware that they are engaged, in storyline now, but like they're doing their own thing.
Yeah. Now this match with Brie and Summer Rae ended up because Lana came down with her music and it was a distraction finish, and that's like the number one complaint among wrestling fans is the distraction finish. But I actually talked about this on Twitter during Raw. Like, if you take kayfabe at face value, like that's one of the most realistic things about pro wrestling right now. Because like if you were at your work just trying to do your job, and somebody just played music and like stormed in like, "Hey, what's up, motherfucker?" Like. You would absolutely stop what you were doing and be like, "What are you doing? Please leave." Like, there's no situation like where that would be acceptable and where you would just ignore it. And someone said to me like, "Oh, well, if you saw it happen to people like every week, you would probably..." No, you'd get more and more frustrated. Like, "Hey, boss, can we, like, call someone and take care of this?" No, this is fine. I want to see how this plays out. Like, at some, like, I think that, like, some week we should see, like, the sound guy get beat up. Like, stop playing music during my matches. Stop it. I don't care who's coming out. You don't, like, I feel bad for the sound guy because he's like, "Oh, somebody's going out. I better play their music."
Rusev's just out in a truck somewhere. The sound guy's like tied up, and he's just playing Lana's music so that she can come out.
Right. I just like imagine like this just like classic like Revenge of the Nerds nerd at the soundboard, and people just keep coming by like holding a fist up, being like, "Play my music, nerd," and they're like, "Okay."
I have a problem with distraction finishes only when they happen when it's like a ton of times per episode and we just get no resolution and it happens a couple weeks in a row or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's no reason to throw them out completely. So, and having Lana do that is fine, especially because we haven't seen really what she can do in the ring. And at this point, all she's got is like surprise Brie, annoy Brie, and apparently like do a finisher to Brie. So, it makes sense with what they're doing right now. Just little teases and reveals. And I mean, it's the first like wrestling move we've seen her do, right?
Yes. It certainly looks like this is the other Divas match that we're going to get at WrestleMania. Is Lana versus Brie.
Which is good, because I feel like normally, what do we get? Just like a battle royal, and then...
Like, it's probably going to be a retirement match.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm up for it, and we don't know where Lana is as a wrestler at all, because she's never done it in a place where we can see it, so... Yeah. We'll see.
That should make people real happy, because you know how much they like Brie's wrestling ability.
It's going to be great when it turns out that Lana is amazing.
Yeah.
And has been, working really hard at this. And everyone's like, whoa, hey, hold on. Yeah. How come she wasn't used earlier? That will be the new complaint.
Yes. The other very, very important thing that happened on Raw was Curtis Axel's promo, where he dubbed himself the Axeman and then did screaming chops to the air. And it was great because he was like, yee, yee, and like everyone else in the Social Outcast was staring at him like an idiot, but then Bo got this big smile on his face and he did like a supportive chop, and like because Bo is the best friend that anyone could ever have. He's like, I'm not sure what you're doing, buddy, but I support you. And like started doing the chops too, and then everyone did it, and it was just, oh my god, it was everything.
Bo Dallas is the heart of the Social Outcasts, and it's so great because all of them kind of hate each other, but Bo makes them tolerate each other. Mm-hmm. It's so much fun. The other great thing from that, not the segment, but the match, was Ryback in Chicago.
Yes, doing the CM stuff.
Doing the knee to the corner and then the go to sleep taunt.
Yeah.
Their feud is, I mean, it's been years now, which is hilarious.
They're the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn of the main roster set.
I was very surprised that Vince didn't say something about Punk to the Chicago crowd when they were chanting that directly at Vince, because he could have said something like kind of non-offensive that would have infuriated the crowd, like, oh, CM Punk, the guy who's probably at home watching hockey right now.
Right.
Just something to rile him up. But yeah. I guess the chant died so quickly anyway that McMahon essentially yelling at the crowd and telling them to chant more at him was perfect, because like they wouldn't, or they couldn't. I don't really know what it was, but Vince won.
As he so often does.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you want to talk about from Raw before we move on to the other wrestling that happened this week?
I really enjoyed the Shane versus Vince segment. Vince was just like cartoonishly on point with being, a horrible, evil father. And that's really, if you're going to do these long segments to like start the show, they should be that entertaining every time.
Yeah. Oh, they put together a Hate Me Now level video package for Shane McMahon. Just glorious.
Oh, so great.
WrestleMania season is not only the best time of year to be a wrestling fan because of the actual wrestling that's happening, but because of all the rad-ass video packages that they put together.
Yes. And they work because, like, my wife, for instance, is not familiar with Shane's wrestling. Like, she's seen Shane Vince from X7 because I've watched X7 a number of times since the network, came to be. But she's not really that familiar with him. So, like, they gave her a good sense of who he was, which was a guy who will do crazy things and let people do crazy things to him. And I feel like that really helped kind of round out the character for her of, like, what she can expect to see against Undertaker. And, I'm sure she's not alone in needing that kind of introduction to Shane. Yeah. So, well done.
All right, let's move right along to NXT from last week, which featured some stuff, certainly.
It did not have the 2 out of 3 falls match like we thought it did, but that just means it's going to happen. What, this episode?
Yeah, it's happening this week.
It's great.
Yeah.
Finn versus Neville was everything I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
Had like the right kind of callbacks to Neville being around, and just enough moments where it seemed like Neville might actually win, but I really enjoyed Finn not being satisfied with the double stomp, not even attempting to pin him, just picking him up to do the is it still Bloody Sunday, right? Even though it's modified. Sunday. Just call it that. It was like a nice show of respect for the former champ, the guy's record he's chasing, to just know that he needed to do that extra thing to put him away. Really just enjoyable. Started a little slow, but these things take time.
Well, it was another, you mean the match? Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, Elias Sampson still still exists.
He sure does. I enjoyed watching him at the NXT show I saw in Albany. It was probably like the best character work he's done and the best in-ring work he's done. So there's more there than what they're showing, but even that show didn't really like tell me who he is and why I should care about him. But he did do a really good job interacting with the crowd and kind of adjusting what he was doing in the ring based on the incessant boos and screams that were hurled at him.
Nice.
So there's potential there. We just it might take some time, like it did for like Baron Corbin, who everyone decided they hated, and then for months it was just a lot of like, why isn't he progressing or changing?
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't have to wait that long, but I'm willing to wait it out.
While we're talking about NXT, while we're talking about Finn Balor and all that, we should definitely talk about the current rumors about what's going to happen with the Bullet Club. So the latest rumors, and this is not spoiling anything, this is not spoilers, because it's not like it's stuff that has happened on the tapings or anything. This is not anything that we have actual knowledge about. This is just the latest rumblings. And if you get upset about those, I'm sorry. I apologize. But the latest rumblings about what's going to happen with the Bullet Club and what's going to happen with Finn is that the Bullet Club meaning Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows, are not expected to spend any time in NXT. They're expected to come up straight to the main roster either immediately after WrestleMania or shortly thereafter, which means that it's very likely that Finn will also come up with them. And it's also a possibility that they'll interact with AJ Styles, although, it's probably... WWE will probably want to keep AJ as a singles star to, maximize his earning potential, But, yeah, so we might get the full Balor / Bulletproof Balor / Bullet Club on WWE main roster. And there's nothing, if that is in fact true, and the three of them will be coming up to the main roster as a unit shortly after WrestleMania, there's nothing to indicate or suggest that Finn will necessarily be dropping the title over WrestleMania weekend, because as we've seen, like, Owens came up to the main roster while he was NXT champion and then stuck around NXT long enough to drop the title and all that. So, there's a history of NXT performers existing in both promotions to finish up their storylines, as we're seeing with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is now on the main roster, but he's also going to be around on NXT at the minimum through TakeOver, because he's booked at TakeOver. So, and
fighting for a NXT title shot on Wednesday too.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's good that they're going to possibly mix things up a little more than they have in the past. Do things more Owen style, because it does help create more questions about. Just what a guy's doing, and like, yeah, they're going to work more dates because they're doing both NXT and main roster, but it adds that little bit of like question to how long they're going to be in one place and how they're going to be used, and you could use a little more mystery instead of like the early edition, which was just, okay, this guy's getting called up, so please drop the belt.
Yeah,
like it's time now. So
let's talk about Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that the main event of Lucha Underground this past week, the Gift of the Gods ladder match, was probably one of the 5 best Lucha Underground matches of all time.
I have no disagreement. Good podcast.
Yeah. All right. No, I thought it was a great episode. I thought the only thing I didn't like about last week of Lucha Underground is, and this is so rare for Lucha Underground, that it stood out so badly. That, like, last week, or the week before, we saw Sexy Star fleeing for her life, running into Willie Mack. She had just escaped custody of Marty Martinez. We had Willie Mack turning around in terror and seeing off-camera Marty's sister, who we still haven't seen yet, who is the one who is responsible for kidnapping and torturing Sexy Star. The next time we see Sexy Star, she's just in the ring, everything's fine, she's making heart hands, and just wrestling a normal match. I mean, Willie Mack came out to check on her, but it wasn't really like there wasn't any sense of urgency. And then Marty Martinez showed up in the stands and distracted her. It just, like, the only thing that makes the match make sense is that her boss is an evil ghost lady. So it's not like her boss would be like, well, you need time off. So it makes sense that her boss would put her in a match, but nothing else about it makes sense.
Yeah, where's the in-between where she escaped from, Marty's sister in that hallway chasing her?
Yeah.
Where's, the conversation between Mac and Sexy Star where he's like, okay, we should probably, like, stay close or whatever for a little bit because, this is pretty fucked up. We didn't get anything, just like point A to point D. And it's a weird misstep for Lucha Underground because they're usually so good about tying things together. And oftentimes, even before we know they like need to be tied together. So for something that so obviously needs to be tied together, it's weird that they didn't.
Yeah. They never do this. They never drop the ball. And to drop the ball in such a massive way when that was the previous episode cliffhanger.
Especially for a tape show where that match doesn't need to run that episode just because you taped it then. Like, no one's going to notice with with some fine editing if you switch some things around. So yeah, just strange all around. And I'm sure they'll explain it at some point. It's just weird that they didn't explain it.
Well, they've advertised
already.
They've advertised that this week Marty and Mac are going to fight in a match. So we'll probably get some more, but like if that's the case, like, I would have been fine with them just like not addressing it at all and doing like a different, because they tape dark matches, like just put a different match on there, like just so weird and so unlike them. But I guess that's like, that's the true sign of Lucha Underground is like the one time we can get upset about them,
Yeah, I was just gonna say like. Storylines that don't get addressed or finished, like that's a kind of a hallmark of a lot of WWE programming or whatever. But so you don't even notice so much. We'll just laugh it off or whatever. But yeah, it just sticks out for Lucha Underground. So I'm never watching again, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, good. So we're on the same page there.
Yeah, just so they know. Now they'll know they messed up that one time, and that's too many.
Perfect. Let's get into some listener questions, eh?
Sure.
All right, so Austin Ratsky on Twitter wants us to fantasy book New Day's WrestleMania entrance that they're hyping up so much.
Well, I want them to ride in on unicorns.
Okay, that's similar to what I wanted, but go on, and I'll tell you mine after your.
I don't think I really have much else other than that. Okay. I don't. Obviously, you're just going to have to put horns on horses.
Okay.
Unless New Day has access to unicorns.
No, you do not, because check this out. So, do you remember when Katy Perry played the Super Bowl halftime show?
Of course I do.
Do you remember how she made her entrance?
Oh my god.
On a gigantic goddamn tiger, right? So they build a massive unicorn, preferably a unicorn that's playing an enormous trumpet. But they ride in on the back of that unicorn.
I mean, if they do something that amazing, it is guaranteed they will lose their match. But
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but it will be worth it. The sacrifice will have been worth it to watch a enormous trombone playing blind unicorn carry all of New Day into the ring.
So good. Okay, so my fallback plan, if that cannot get worked out for whatever reason, is jetpacks.
Please go on.
That's all. Just fly into the arena on jetpacks.
Just jetpacks.
Yeah. I don't need further explanation for jetpacks.
Big E does wear a cape, so it would look pretty great, too. Yeah.
It would look great. Jetpacks are... see, that's... Okay. I'm sad that jetpacks are not, like, a thing that we... Because I think you're younger than me, but, like, when I was a kid, like... When, like, G.I. Joe was on TV and, like, movies like Ruskies were around, like, the height of, like, everything that you could aspire to was jetpack. Like, that was the coolest shit that you could possibly imagine. Like, that was where the future was going. Was like, oh man, someday there will be jetpacks. And somewhere we lost our way, Mark. And I'm sad that jetpacks aren't like the tippity top of what we want anymore.
You know, jetpacks are pretty cool, but we did talk about jetpacks right after talking about a giant New Day bearing unicorn playing a trombone.
I know, and that illustrates my point. Like, it's sad. It's just, that era is gone forever.
Maybe it'll come back. Everything, it's all in cycles. So
yes,
this is the unicorn era, and maybe next it will be jetpacks.
Oh, and just for the record, those jetpacks that like fly over the water, those aren't jetpacks.
What if the jetpacks shot out, it looked like they were shooting out rainbows? I feel like that would make them very New Day-esque.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And they made trombone sounds. They're just like...
This is perfect.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
Chris Osborne has 2 questions for us. This first is, where does the Bella Twin scooter issue rank in the Total Divas history of most pointless arguments? The episode actually hasn't aired yet, as we're taping this, but I have to imagine it's very low, because they've had real pointless arguments before. And, like, you shouldn't ride a scooter. That's fairly reasonable. Like, for people who make their living wrestling. Like, that's fine. Like, they've argued about whether a seal is a fish before.
Any argument they have where like Brie doesn't then go to their mother to confirm her side is usually a pointless argument. Right. And all the ones where Brie goes to her mother are Brie's mom being like, no, Brie, you are being terrible.
Yes. And it's not just the Bella Twins that have pointless arguments on Total Divas. There's a lot of pointless arguments. And I see that many of them are more pointless than the Bella Twin scooter thing.
I mean, we all have pointless arguments too. We just don't have cameras pointed at us.
Yeah. Well, that's why we have a podcast.
That's true.
And Chris's other question, if the rumors of the NXT call-ups are true, who do you see getting the biggest push in NXT after that? So let's just break this down real quick. So if the NXT call-ups happen, we assume Finn's going to go up with Bullet Club. We assume Sammy's going to go up. We assume probably Bayley's going to go up. And that's a lot of the top of the card. And then, Enzo and Cass, probably. Mm-hmm. So those are the most likely call-ups, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only other one I can think of is Samoa Joe. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't win the title. But even then, it's not entirely clear if that's going to ever happen. But
right. I still don't like the success and the reception of AJ Styles has me questioning now, but I still don't really. I would still be a little bit surprised if Samoa Joe ever goes to the main roster, but I think that if Finn, Bayley, Enzo, Cass, Sammy all head up to the main roster, I think that the biggest pushes will be Samoa Joe, Baron Corbin, Gable and Jordan, and Asuka, obviously. But I think Nia in the women's division, I think Nia and Carmella will be the top of the class at that point. Yeah,
I can see that group. I can see Emma, Dana Brooke getting more of a push too. Now that Dana's shown back, she's coming back, she's healthy.
Yeah.
And I mean, Emma deserves another chance at the title at some point, and seeing, Emma versus Asuka for the title, if Asuka's got it, would make a lot of sense considering how great their first match was. Apollo Crews is probably in line to get more of a push too. And other than that, I think it's just going to be, they've already got these guys really on the cusp in both the men's and women's division, and you mentioned pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
So the other pushes that are going to happen is okay, now the other new guys we know they have in waiting are going to move into the roles that Corbin and Crews have now, where they're almost there. So they'll really make us start caring about Chris Gerard and Rich Swann and
And like,
still not sure if their names are even, if they get to the point where their names change or whatever.
Rich Swann's name will definitely change, but and so will Chris Gerard's, because those are both just their real names. But we're also gonna see like, don't forget that when people go up to the main roster, that means that the NXT roster starts getting people from the Performance Center that we've seen very little of, or that we haven't seen yet, like Aaliyah, or like from Breaking Ground, Love Preet. Like, he's probably going to come up pretty soon. They have so many people down there that we haven't seen at all yet.
And Nakamura is showing up in time, before Mania.
Yeah, Nakamura is going to be like way in the like. If he spends any significant amount of time in NXT, like if he spends like 2 or 3 months there, he's going to be like main event the entire time.
Well, there were the rumors about his contract that essentially said he was being paid like a main event superstar.
Yeah, so it doesn't behoove them to keep him down there very long.
Well, it's either that or they're doing that so that they can use him as like the anchor for the promotion after Balor gets to call up.
That makes sense too. Oh, also, I mean, Itami's going to come back before long.
Yeah.
So he's also going to be a big deal in NXT. There's a lot. I mean, the roster's going to get depleted, like, on paper, but it's going to be very strong still.
Well, think about, like, 3 of the 4 horsewomen were promoted.
Yeah.
And, that was probably the biggest test that they've had in terms of, like, okay, we have to rebuild this entire division. We have to prove that this wasn't just, women's wrestling wasn't just becoming successful here because of the 4 people who were doing most of it. Mm-hmm. And they really showed, like, no, we can bring in experienced people. We can, get people from, start from scratch, like Alexa Bliss and Dana Brooke, and really create, new compelling characters and make you really care about the women's division. Like, it's so great right now when Bayley's the only, established one from the past who's there. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's just going to keep happening where, like, you might be worried that, there's all this talent's going, but, man, there's no stop to how much is still there. Like you said, there's the Performance Center people. There's everyone they signed from the indies. There's the people who haven't been elevated to, the main event status yet within the company that we haven't really seen what they can do.
And I've been enjoying the hell out of the women's division ever since the 3 horsewomen got called up. Like, all of the matches, all of the stories they've been telling with Bayley are amazing. The matches have all been great, and I don't know if you're aware, Mark, but like, Bayley's already passed Sasha Banks in longevity for title reign.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Who has the record?
Paige.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's going to be catching her anytime soon, but
yeah, probably not.
Well, I think whoever takes it off Bayley has a chance to stick around in NXT for a long time, unless it's Asuka. But I think there'll probably be like, I think there's a good chance like Nia wins the title via chicanery, and then wins the rematch via chicanery, and then Asuka takes it from Nia. Because Asuka taking it from Bayley doesn't make a ton of sense. Because why divide the crowd without needing to?
Yeah. It's exciting that I mean,
and us talking about like what's going to happen to NXT after the call-ups. Like, we haven't even addressed Austin Aries, which like I honestly I would be surprised if Aries like becomes a major player in NXT instead of just like a feature match guy. But you know what, Samoa Joe proved me very wrong. So I would very much welcome Aries being like a major player in the promotion.
I mean, they immediately got him involved in a Baron Corbin feud, which, a year ago would have been a thing where you're like, oh, really? Just Corbin? But now it's like, oh, like, they're taking him seriously because Corbin is, like a main event talent in NXT.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And also, like, that's what rejuvenated Joe, too.
Mm-hmm.
So. I think you were saying something about NXT, sorry.
I love that they don't hit, like, they don't do like a hard reset of NXT, every year or whatever. But we're going to get these soft resets where, a bunch goes away and, then new comes in. And it's very exciting and it's very different because, the main roster people complain about things getting stale and like the same people are on TV too much. And this is such a weird difference. And you're still going to see those people all the time, just in a different environment. And I think in the long run, it's going to be good for everyone involved. It's going to be good for viewers and good for, the rosters themselves.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited about everything. I'm excited about all of it.
Yeah, man. Roadblock's looking great, and Mania is not exactly what we all maybe want it to be in terms of like the matches, but I'm still excited for that, and I'm excited for that whole weekend and what's coming after. So it's a special time of year.
Oh, and with that, I think we're gonna get out of here. You got a fight to catch, so.
Oh yeah, I should probably do that thing.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you all next week. You can always check us out at cagesidecease.com, spnation.com/wrestling. It's WrestleMania season, so we get a lot of stuff going up all the time. You can follow me on Twitter at SendoMotel. Mark, where can they find you?
Mark_Normandin on Twitter.
There you go. And you can always email us at rutoradiopodcast@gmail.com. And exciting news, Mark. Soon people will be able to buy things.
Oh?
Yeah. But we'll tell you more about that next week, everybody. For now, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Thank you so much to the people who've already given us some reviews on iTunes. Just know that if you do take the time to leave us a review on iTunes, it helps us out immensely. And if you don't even want to take the time to think of your own review, we're going to help you out right now. Mark, if people go to iTunes and leave us a review, you can give us whatever star rating you want. I mean, we'd like 5, but you can give us whatever star rating you want. But if you are at a loss for what to say for the review, what should they write?
This podcast is almost as great as Triple H vs. Sting at WrestleMania 31.
Perfect. So just write that in there and hit submit, and we thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I appreciate that. This podcast is almost as good as Triple H versus Sting at WrestleMania 31. And it's true. It is almost as good as that.
Most things are almost as good as that. Many things are not.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.